Hello everybody and welcome to another video from Games Tech Core. Today we're going to be talking about the Borderlands cinematic universe. Yes, you heard that right. So, the Gearbox founder Randy Pitchford, in a recent interview with IGN, he explained about the new Borderlands film that's coming out later this year, and he mentioned that it's gonna live alongside the games and is going to stand as part of a new cinematic universe. So this is coming out, scheduled for the 9th of August. I don't know if that date can slip, but that's when it's scheduled to come out. And stars people such as Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Edgar Ramirez, and so forth. So for this video today, that's a couple of things I just wanted to note about this film. So, I mean, first off, I'm not a movie critic. I don't know if this is going to be good or bad. That's not the point of this video. I watched the trailer. Seems kind of interesting if you're in the mood for that sort of film. But I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. So this isn't really about the quality or otherwise of this film. I can leave that to other people to opine on that. What I find interesting here, from my point of view, is around the broader trend for media companies. So when they're looking at movies or games, those in particular, about effectively these companies looking to, quote, work their IP, end quote. Looking to do this as much as possible, which in layman's terms, effectively, is squeeze as much value out of them as possible. Now, I think this has been quite interesting over the past, I think it's really been coming to head over the past couple of years, really. And we have phrases such as live service games, as we do as gamers, and on the movie side, the phrase cinematic universe. These are phrases that really strike fear, into the hearts of gamers and moviegoers alike. But it's, I guess, what is the issue with these things? So that's what I guess what we want to reflect on here. So it's not that it's all bad, but these can definitely lead to things such as franchise fatigue, and lack of innovation. And this is what we've seen. So some particularly high profile examples. So we're looking at, say, you couldn't talk about the cinematic universe without mentioning Disney, it's particularly with the MCU. But I'd actually mention Star Wars as well. So Disney are now are famed for putting that IP to work, so to speak. So really just cranking out those Marvel films, cranking out those Star Wars films. And I'm someone I've never been massively into Marvel films. In truth, I liked the early the Iron Man films back in the day. Endgame, was an event, let's say, about that film, but kind of more broadly, massively into the Marvel films. They have their appeal, but I'm not as big into them. Whereas Star Wars, on the other hand, I'm someone who grew up loving Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I actually like the prequels as well. I'm not a fan of the Phantom Menace, but it's not terrible. But I'm not the biggest fan of it. But certainly, the rest of the prequels, I personally, I personally, like to enjoy Attack of the Clones, and I particularly liked, Revenge of the Sith. I thought that I actually, really liked that film. So to see, to see Star Wars, Disney really putting the Star Wars franchise to work, it's definitely been an experience, shall we say? So I think we've definitely really seen that with Disney, the cinematic universe, and on terms of live service, we've been seeing that as well. A great example is actually Warner Brothers. Interestingly enough, so we saw last November, for instance, the CEO David Zaslav, I believe his name is. So he announced that they're going to be focusing on live service games going forward, in his words, to make the most of post-purchase profits going forward. There's a phrase I'll send a chill down your spine, huh? And really, from the Warner Brothers live service perspective, I mean, we've seen the recent wholesale negative reception to Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So I mean, I'm really just going to leave that point there. I think that I think that game says more than I could, yeah, than I ever could in a video. So I mean, there's some of the issues that the approach can lead to, but I think it's important to look at why this is happening. So I mean, the obvious reason is money. That's the money makes the world go round, as they say, and that's the obvious reason. There's a lot of money to be made if you can. I mean, Disney made so much money with the MCU. So much money with Star Wars. These live service games. Games like Destiny. If they can, when they're done right, Fortnite is probably the biggest example. When it's done right, they can just be like just money printing machines effectively. So I think you just have all these companies and all the the execs in the boardroom looking about how can they generate that from the IP that they have at their disposal. So that's a key reason. The other thing to note, I mean, certainly, from a gaming perspective, and maybe to be a bit more fair to them. So we're seeing, for instance, here, I mean, recently we saw a massive loss in stock value from Sony, and this is because effectively the cost of production is just so high on these modern games. I mean, the PS5 is doing well by any reasonable standard. It's selling well. They had some big titles, come out. But I mean, we're seeing things like, I might have the number wrong, but Spider-Man, I think the production cost Spider-Man 2 was $300 million, and that's just, I think they needed something like 7 million to break even, which they have done. But if you're saying if that sort of target is just, these are just such high levels to have to reach, and with this stock value here, it's effectively they expect it to ship 25 million units during fiscal year 23, and I'm doing air quotes here, only shipped 21, which again, by any reasonable standard, that's that's a good year. But just the cost of production in modern games, along with the expectations from investors in the market, is just sky high, and what we're seeing here is actually their operating margins have dropped by a couple of percent. I think it was somewhere just a bit over 10% before. It's a little under 10% now, which to us, people who just like to enjoy playing the games, probably doesn't sound like a big deal, but for these execs, this is panic stations effectively. So that's where they have to kind of look to just try to squeeze out more money. Similarly, we have here on the Microsoft side, with that recent announcement that Microsoft confirming some of the games are going to be going multi-platform, some of their IP to Switch, to PlayStation. So 4 to start with, as you can see there: Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves. And then presumably there'll be more to come, and it's for similar reasons. It's about there's so much money being spent in gaming. I mean, with their acquisition last year, a $69 billion acquisition for Activision Blizzard, and they got to make that money back effectively, and they've all this IP that they've been building. So they got to make money back, and that's really the it of it, so to speak. So I guess for all this, is where do we go from here? So I mean, the bottom line really is that the companies will continue to pursue this approach. You could say, you could look at that one way, pursuing this approach and try to maximize value. That can hopefully then can be a benefit to the industry. Or you could look at the more negative take of that they're going to continue to milk these IPs. And that's just what's going to happen. It's not all doom and gloom that we have seen. In just the past couple of months, with the success of Helldivers 2, and even with Pal World, there are. I mean, looking at Helldivers 2, that's a live service game, but a game that's done sort of ostensibly a lot better and a lot less predatory than we've seen in other iterations of that. So that's definitely good to see. And again, both Helldivers 2 and Palworld kind of show that there's games that can be, you can still pull these kind of sleeper hits, effectively that can be just released and people can just enjoy them and they don't have to have crazy budget. And then we are seeing actually issues from a sort of server perspective, particularly with Helldivers 2, of the issues when it can be much more successful than expected. But I think, though, I mean, it's earlier in the year. It's early in the year, and they're two good examples. Of that. It's perhaps not all doom and gloom. In the gaming world. So that's everything. I thought this is interesting. As I said, I saw the word cinematic universe for Borderlands, and I just it was definitely something I just want to cover in a video. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll leave a link to the articles in the description. Please like and subscribe. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.